What's up, Sonic movie fans, and welcome to episode 116 of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, and Sonic movie news, and video game movie reviews. My name is Ethan, and with me here nodding his head in appreciation is Devin.
Dad, you bit me.
Yes.
I don't even want to say anything because I'm like, I need to just come. That needs to be the first thing that comes out of my mouth out in this episode.
Does Helena or does Christy know about you too?
I'll pass.
Yes. If somehow you didn't look at the title of this episode and you did guess based,
if you're
off
looking
the quote,
for titties too, sorry, we're not here.
We're an audio only podcast. I can make muffled, like vaguely flesh sounding noises, but I don't think that would do the same effect. Sorry. Just go on the internet. We watched DOA, Dead or Alive, the 2006 film that ran at a nice 87 minutes.
Once
Thank
again,
God.
it already gets the Sonic movie show approval because of just the length.
Yeah, as I pull up, and I don't speak as I literally do that, as I pull up a couple bits of information about this movie I did not have. Why don't you guess for me what the box office worldwide was for this movie?
I mean, I don't know, like, where to even start because, like, I feel like I always get these wrong. And movies I think are bad get, like, 200 mil. And then movies that I think should get more money don't. And I think that's one of these movies. So I'm going to say a hot 30 mil.
30, huh? This movie made $7.5 million.
I still thought
in the box
I
office.
did think, I'm like, that might be too high. Unfortunately.
In retrospect, Blood Rain, which was also 2006, made $3.6 million.
Okay, thank God. If that movie made more than this, I would have been pissed off.
Yes. And in between these two movies, also in 2006, Silent Hill came out at $97.6 million. So at least, but I feel like that's also brand recognition.
It's in the range. Yeah, I was going to say
Silent Hill is, I would say, for American audiences, more known than Dead or Alive. Although, and we'll talk about like where we think or what we know about Dead or Alive. It did have like a big like early Xbox push, for I think DOA 3.
DOA 3.
DOA 3. Dota 3. But yes, we watched this movie for today, and I'm just going to throw this out there before we talked. I was not looking forward to this movie. I was like kind of drudging my feet, being like, I gotta watch this today. This was yesterday. I was like, I gotta fucking watch this movie. And I'm like, we watched fucking Blood Rain, and like I was like not excited, but like vaguely interested, and like, oh. And that was just so terrible. And I'm thinking, like, this is going to be that, but just skeezy trash. You know what I mean? It's just going to be that, but really bad. And I'm just going to throw this out there before we even, like, really delve into the movie at all. This is, like, a top 5 for me of what we've seen. This is not, by all means, this is not a good movie. But it knows it's not a good movie, in my opinion. And it is so committed to the bit. And it's also, I mean, 19 minutes in, it's when it gets a little creepy with the guy staring at the women on the computer monitors. But besides that one character, and okay, there is like the guy with the green goatee. There's a lot of issues. That's a little rapey.
There's a lot of issues in this movie. There's a lot of issues.
But I was expecting a lot worse. Let me put it that way. I was expecting way worse.
There's a lot of issues.
And I was also expecting it not to be fun. And this was a fun, stupid-ass movie. And this easily drops into the we'll put on the TV in the background pile that is coveted on this list. It's a coveted top 5. So
I know, like, these movies are dying to get on the shelf that like just sit there for the whole year, unless like you're cleaning the house and they're like, play me, please.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Give me a similar type of just top level.
Well, I tweeted on January 16th with the Sonic Movie Show account. I said, for next week we'll be reviewing DOA, Dead or Alive, and y'all, I think this episode going to be a good one. Because I am like, from the very fucking beginning, this movie is a fucking wild ride and has so much like just unexpected. Like I didn't know what I was expecting. We'll talk about what we know about DOA in a sec, but like I had just like kind of what your expectations were. I had no idea about DOA in general, but going in, I was like, look, I watched the quick clip of it on Amazon, like it has the little trailer, and I just see a girl in her underwear in an elevator, and there's a dude in a business suit, and then it just like cuts to her in the business suit, and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? Like that looks.
She fucked him out of his clothes.
No, I don't even. I'm just like, okay, what is this gonna be? But yeah, just overall, just like this movie blew me away. That's all I'm gonna say. This movie blew me away, and I agree with you that like this might be SMS heavy hitter. This might be one of the cornerstones.
It's got the shock factor. Like, yes, we will from now on after this episode, whenever we're reviewing a video game movie, it's either, if it's not a great movie, it's like in it just being a movie. If it's in like the kind of pile, what's the DOA factor of it? Like, did it have this element to it where we're like, holy crap, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Wait,
like,
this is kind of cool. Oh wait, never mind. Wait. Like there's I have a lot of mixed emotions, but most of them lean positive. And it's just like this movie I wish got more money in the mid 2000s. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
I don't want to once we get into it, we'll get into it, but I'm just like, wow. That's why I don't usually tweet about the movies we're watching, like, or like try to hint towards the direction of how I'm feeling, but I'm like, y'all, this is gonna be a good episode. And once you text me, like, you're like, I forgot exactly what you said, but you're just like,
I think I said, yo, this movie rules, and I was like 10 minutes in.
Exactly.
I was into, I think I had just started character reveal montage number 3 with Christy there, and I'm like, all right, I'm down for this movie. Like, this, it knows what it is at this point. I'm down. So why don't you tell me, and I think you've already kind of basically just said, but just to reiterate, what your knowledge you have about Dead or Alive, the fighting
Dead or
game
Alive,
series.
My first memory of Dead or Alive. I'll start there. I had Game Informer as a kid, as a young preteen. You know, I read all the reviews in there. And I'm like, oh, I would really like this game. I never got most of them. But I was like always, oh, that's cool. Oh, Resistance, that's cool. God of War, oh yeah, hell yeah. But I always remember like specifically seeing like this. I don't know what Dead Alive game it was, but I just know it was the beach volleyball version or some of that effect. And I was like, wait, it's just girls in bikinis playing volleyball. I'm like, huh. And even me being a horny kid, even I was just like, that's weird.
In that issue, it was a PSP version of the game. Guys, I borrowed that issue for you because I saw that ad. I'm like, what is this? It's on PSP. Maybe I could buy it. I remember that.
But I don't remember, and then after that, like, when I hear DOA, I always thought of, like, that game and that memory. And how long ago at this point? 2 years ago when we first made this video game list of movies, like, I remember, like, okay, I'm assuming that's going to be on a volleyball movie. Legit, I didn't know this was. You didn't even
know it was a fighting game?
No, until I like Googled it right before the movie. Yeah.
Oh.
So put that in perspective and how much shock value I had.
Oh.
Even more so.
Okay. Well, then we'll go for me now. I knew it was a fighting game series. I didn't really play any of them except for I dabbled into 5. Which is the second to latest one that was on PS3 and PS4 at the very end. But I never really touched them. I know that they, from what I have played and what I have seen, they are a Tekken or a Virtua Fighter type of 3D fighting game or a Soul Calibur. I don't know if they necessarily invented or created the idea in these types of games or not, but ringing out an opponent is a viable option. And, like, some stages will have multiple tiers to them where you'll be, like, up on, like, a bridge in a science facility over rocky volcano underneath you, and you could, like, ring someone out, and then you jump down there, and then second round is down there type of thing. Okay. is by Team Ninja. They made the Ninja Gaiden games. This is part of the Ninja Gaiden series. Ryo Hayabusa, the Ninja Gaiden man, is in this movie. Do you know who he is?
I would not have.
He is the creepy boy, like not boyfriend, but like the creepy like, your brother. You have to go back. You have to go back. You can't abandon your people. To Kasumi.
Oh,
that is supposed to be the fucking badass Ninja Gaiden guy. He is not that way in the movie. It's
the
it's
guy
attached.
Who literally has like the whole movie never even gets his hero moment at all.
He does fight when they're playing volleyball. He does infiltrate, but then he just gets caught.
Yeah, but I'm saying he doesn't have his big hero moment. Yeah, he doesn't have.
No,
and we'll go through it, but he doesn't.
So I know all that stuff. It's a 3D fighting game. And from, like I said, I've only really played 5. But I know that before that, heavily, just like Ninja Gaiden's reboot on the original Xbox, heavy Xbox branding and deals. And I don't know this for a fact. I'm pretty sure I had read this years and years ago. People that initially bought the Xbox, like at launch or within the first month, had issues, I think, with like their controllers that came with the thing or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm 99% sure that I know this as a thing and then make this up because I'm pretty sure I read this. Microsoft was like, if you send them in, we'll send you basically 2 controllers back and a game, and Dead or Alive 3 was one of them. Dead or Alive was, like an Xbox launch game, I think, or within like the first 2 months. It was something like that. The volleyball game was also there as well. Imagine this, Devin. Those volleyball spinoffs, they start off as pretty hardcore, competent volleyball sports games, and then they just turn into mini games with basic volleyball on the side, because all you really want to do is just watch the anime girls run around on the beach, apparently. So now, you play fighting games, not a whole lot, and I play fighting games, and more so, but not as much as I would like to say I do, as much as I say I like fighting games. And you know that, like, you might, let's say you get a fighting game within the first year or so, and you're like, I know they're doing DLC characters. Cool. There's going to be like maybe 5 this year or something. And like, I could buy them individually, or like I can buy a season pass or a fighter's pass. And it's going to have them all for $25 maybe. Usually, like, I feel like a fighting game, adding a character to a fighting game is a lot of work. And I feel like $5 is a pretty fair, low price for that. $25, okay, cool. So you buy a season pass. Dead or Alive, the season passes are so expensive because they don't just make characters, Devin. They make costumes and costumes and costumes and costumes. There are season passes that are just
like Fortnite.
These are, I don't, like, quantity wise, no, but money wise, yes. They'll be like, the season pass is all about just adding nurses' outfits for all the characters, and it's $30 for a costume for each character. So, but they do have overall season passes that add in the characters. There is no just, here's a season pass for all the characters and nothing else. You need to be buying outfits too. I tallied up Dead or Alive 6, which is the current version, and is still not done, I don't think, in terms of adding new characters and DLC. I added up all of the pure season passes that are currently available. I think there's 4 of them. And the total price for all 4 of these season passes is $343.
Bro, that's
add on a $60 version,
that's a Nintendo
$60
Switch
game, and that's $400. And they're not done. They're going to keep adding more. Dead or Alive 5 had 3 versions: the original on PS3, Ultimate on PS3, and Last Round on PS3 and PS4, which is like a collection of like everything. And then they still decided to keep adding costumes to that game, so there's a $90.
Someone must be buying these
for that,
like for them to warrant.
Yes. Horny ass boys be buying this. There are way more female characters than are male characters. They barely make any costumes for the male characters.
I was gonna say
there is because I was looking literally last night. I'm like, all right, number 1, the trophies in Dead or Alive 5 were easy. That's I know how I know about it, because they were on PS Now. And I was like, I got all 3 versions. They were just a part of there. I was just like, I gotta be far about the trophies. So I knew about it kind of from there gameplay wise. But I was looking there because I'm like, I want to do this again. It'd be fun. There's a free version of Dead or Alive 6 that has like a few characters and no story. But they'll be like, all right, here's all of the content for this character, and it's like $70 or something like that. Here's all for this character. Here's all for that character. Here's all the content for Ryu Hayabusa. 3 outfits. me $7. It's like, it's just such a disparity. So I know that guest characters wise, they've had a couple of SNK characters and a couple of Virtua Fighter characters, so King of Fighters and Virtua Fighter. But Samus from Metroid was initially like in it, but not. And so she's in the background of the 3DS one because Team Ninja made Metroid Other M. But you know what the craziest guest character this series has had? Female Master Chief.
Female Master Chief.
From Halo. Her name is like Spartan 243 or something like that. And it's just a Master Chief. It looks like her too. Type in Dead or Alive Spartan. Dead or Alive Spartan. And you know what? Fuck it. Halo says that that's canon now. That she's a real person that just goes to fight the other women that are wearing like bikinis, and this woman's just in full Spartan gear.
She's not necessarily like. It's just Master Chief, but
it looks exactly like, but it's a woman in there.
I'm looking. Yeah, so it's literally just You could have just called it. Master
just
Chief.
Looks. Yeah, because I was looking at the character list. I'm like, after seeing the movie, I'm like, how many of these are real characters? Because I don't really recognize any of the names. And then I see Master Chief in there. I'm like, wait a second. Like, yeah. So, and Halo actually considers that character canon. That Spartan, whatever her name is, goes down and fights the women in their bikinis.
That's
whatever.
Wild.
But
wow.
Yeah,
they even have a red one and a purple. Wow, so they really went out there.
Huh. I'm sure it was only in one of them, probably whatever, maybe Dead or Alive 4, maybe.
Yeah, it says Dead or Alive 4.
4, okay, yeah. Like I said, 3D fighting games, but for the most part, the series kind of goes ignored because, well, I'm sure that they do nice gameplay. You know, every time there's a new version, they might, make it like cool and interesting or whatever they can. Overall, people just know it as like, it's just a bunch of like just voluptuous women, and that's the only reason why people buy it. Like that, it's kind of like a joke. So when you see people in fighting game forums like defend it, be like, no, the mechanics are really great and blah blah blah. It's like, sorry.
Like I feel like the better version of what you're describing to would be like Soul Calibur, where everyone's equally sexy, even like the men. You know what I mean? Like everyone is sexy and the mechanics are good.
I mean, like, I'm not saying there aren't bad-looking dudes in Dead or Alive. There's just, like, maybe 3 guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's a clear, effort that they're putting into Dead or Alive compared to Soul Calibur.
I mean, fucking Yoda in Soul Calibur 4. Oh, my God. Dude's so hot.
Banging. Bussin'.
Yoda.
Yeah, looking at Dead or Alive, like, I just put that in images, and I don't see one dude pop up yet.
Here's the list of characters. We can maybe pop
Is everyone
some
hot?
As
Sure. That's all I'm gonna say is huh.
There's definitely some and I do know that as far as the beach volleyball stuff goes, the last version came out on Vita and PS4, and this was at like, I think the height of like Gamergate bullshit nonsense, where people were, generally criticizing just the low effort into what the games, the spin-off series had kind of become. That like the company was so afraid to release in America, so it stayed in Japan. And then you see like companies like Play Asia coming out being like, "Don't give in to the social justice warriors. We'll publish your game in America." And me being like, "And I'm never shopping on Play Asia now." That they are literally Gamergate chuds.
And I just realized, so these characters in the movie are based off of game characters. They're not just.
They are.
Okay.
I looked through. Basically, all the men that don't fight are original characters, but Kasumi. Played by Devin Aoki, sister of Steve Aoki, who was also in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah.
She plays Kasumi, who is the main character.
Shout out to the Devins out there, by the way. Shout out to the Devins out there.
Yeah. Kasumi is the main character. I think she is.
And
then like, that's what I read.
Because I don't feel like there's a main character in this movie.
In the movie, yeah, no. The fact that Amazon says the 4 leading ladies or whatever they say, I'm like, yes, because there's no real main character. But yeah, she's real. The purple-haired chick is Ayane, and she is essentially the Ken to Kasumi's Ryu. I think that they play the same. Maybe, I don't know. Tina is a Hollywood star.
In this one, she's like a wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she has wrestling moves in the games. I don't know. Helena is real, but older.
But older? They said specifically she's 21 in the movie.
In the game, she's older.
Oh, I thought you meant like
older.
the movie. They're like, oh, she's older. I'm like, how much younger is she in the game?
Christy is an assassin, this thing says in the games. And
they kind of hint at that in the movie, though. They kind of make it seem like she's at
least a spy.
Yeah, of some sort.
Right.
She steals shit, too.
Oh, Kasumi gets cloned a lot. A lot of the bad guys are just false Kasumi. Phase 4 Kasumi.
Rugged Weird. Kasumi.
Yes. Yeah, and then like Zach, the black guy with the green like hair and goatee, he's a real character. He looks a lot better in the games. I guess Dead or Alive 2, he has that.
Appreciate him in the movie because I think he is one of the few bright spots in this movie.
Ooh, I think he's kind of rapey, personally.
Like I said, there's a lot of issues in this movie, but it has a lot of charm, and I think he's one of the charm spots to a certain extent. Not saying all the scenes he is in aren't like what you just said, rapey, but he has some cool scenes, and his fighting is kind of cool.
Yeah, just going through. Ryu Hayabusa is the dude. Her brother is real. His name is Hayate. That's a real character. Your bad guy, Donovan something or other, he is, but he's never shown in any of the games until like really late. So after like this movie, I think technically would be the first way he's visualized. It's like he's the bad guy. But then there's like just a bunch of characters.
Zach is a DJ, it says, according to this wiki.
Oh, is it?
So like it's kind of funny that in the movie he's DJing at one part on the beach. So
true. I think that's the only characters that were in the games that I can see. Oh, there is actually one of like the henchman dudes. He's a character that Donovan just says, "Go take the money." His name is Bayman. He's got the yellow with the beret.
Okay.
I don't know if the dad is actually a character or not. He might have been. And I think in the montage of like the first round and people getting knocked out, some of those were characters that this thing was saying. The names at least recognized. But yes, okay, in any case, that is what I know about the games. And obviously I looked shit up anyway, because I like fighting games. And when we have a lot of fighting game movies, just in general, so I like the idea of seeing what characters are actually in the game, in the movie or not. So let's talk about the movie, Devin.
Yes, please.
So I feel like recapping this movie. I'm not going to do a super great job and being in detail because I didn't write anything down. So this is off the cuff. But the movie opens up, and I think probably one of the weakest scenes in the whole movie is the opening. And just in terms of before anything gets crazy happening, where it's just Kasumi and she's like, "I gotta find my brother," and Hayabusa is like, "You can't because you'll die." You
skipped over the part though where it has like what looks like a video game ass cutscene from 2006 opens up over the ocean, and it does like a crash zoom onto this Japanese looking temple, and it looks awful. And I get 2006, but I'm like, but in a weird way, it kind of fits because, like I said, it reminded me more of video game cutscenes at the time than it did like bad CGI in movies. So I was like, you know what? I'll let it slide because I feel like we're going somewhere. So I just want to point that out because I did kind of.
The thing that looked the worst in this whole movie is like the 2 or maybe 3 times they do a scene transition where it zooms out like it's a small picture with black and it surrounds itself with the movie's logo, and then it zooms back in like it's a DVD menu.
You know what?
I hated
You hated it
so much.
You know what? I low key. Not low key. I didn't like it. The only reason because it's so fucking campy and like it and cheesy that I kind of dug it because this whole movie is cheese. It is
very campy,
and it just fits. Yes. It just fits for me, and it makes it feel like it's like a game show or something that like, in a weird way, this whole movie in general gave me like Tarantino vibes, but in like all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was like inspired.
Everything short of the feet popping up on frame.
Yeah, everything was like. There's a lot of weird decisions they made, which I appreciate, and I just felt like there was like moments of like wackiness that Tarantino has done in movies, where he'll just have like a random scene that like just goes off the cusp of what the rest of the movie's been doing up until that point. And I feel like there's moments of that, and I feel like when they first show that, and then like I don't know when they're using it, because it's, you know, is it a transition? Is it a period of time happening? Because usually you do that kind of stuff, or like a fade in, like in Star Wars they do the fade wipe for when there's like a big scene change, you know what I mean? Like they don't do it every time there's a cut, but they do it when there's a big scene change. So it felt like random. That's what I fucking love about it, because it just feels like they're like, yo, this is just cool. Let's just put it in. This is just cool. Let's just put it in.
We made this effect, so you need to use it a couple more times.
Yeah, like it just felt random, and I actually liked it. It's so cheesy and bad.
Man.
And I wish, you know what? More movies need to do it. Just let's have the title of the movie keep appearing halfway through the film
to remind us.
Yes. What you're watching.
But yes, Kasumi is like, I need to find my brother, and Hayabusa's like, you can't. And she's like, but I'm going to. And he's like, but you can't, because they will kill you as soon as you leave.
I also
like,
love
nope.
the right before, like, she's putting a cricket in the box, and like he's like, you can't leave.
Then she uses that as a metaphor.
And I'm like that's way too on the nose. You cannot, like,
yeah.
You could just have the cricket in the box, and then she just says, I don't want to be trapped inside of this house all day or whatever. Like, that would have been, right. I would have been unable to connect the dots there, but they're like, nope. She's going to make reference to the exact thing she literally was just holding and doing.
Exactly. She just has one brain cell working at a time. Like, that just, you know, it's like it cached the memory, and then it popped into what, you know, it just formed into what she needed to say. But yeah, but she leaves, and it's kind of whatever, but it's also not bad, but it's not great. This movie has fighting choreography, but I feel like due to maybe some of the performances maybe not able to maintain a lot of them in succession, there's lots of takes for every like attack and move, to the point where this movie isn't confident enough to just let the camera hang on a fight. It needs to do lots of cuts and moves.
I also feel like the fighting
impacts.
The fighting scenes in this movie, though, for all of fighting video game movies that we've watched, I actually think this has the best fighting in them. Besides the newest Mortal Kombat, 'cause that doesn't count. But I'm saying, like, out of this era, like these fights are a lot better than all the Mortal Kombat's fights.
Yeah,
a lot better than the Blood Rain sword fighting, or lack thereof.
That wasn't a fighting game, but yes.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, just well, like, I mean, that's such a low bar, though. They didn't even have anyone to teach them how to use the weapons.
But no,
I agree, because
there was moments when I feel like it did remind me of 70s like samurai films and stuff like that. That's why I said I get the Tarantino vibes, because I feel like there was some of the same stuff that Tarantino did in Kill Bill and shit.
I can understand that.
At moments,
I can understand that. But yes, Kasumi gets out and she defies gravity as she jumps straight up and then over the wall and then just down. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then the cloak flies away and she's got a parachute. And I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden a ninja star with the movie's logo on it flies.
Which I want IRL. I want one of those.
Yeah, give me that prop.
I want that as a prop.
As soon as, because this movie opens up traditional Japanese political, the princess can't leave and she will, and it seems attempted to be very grounded, and then she just fucking Goku jumps over the wall, and then all of a sudden she has a modern day parachute or whatever, or wingsuit, whatever that was, a parachute, I'm pretty sure, and then she catches this electronic
that 45,
it's just quick succession.
That 45 seconds goes like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait!
Oh my god!
Are you kidding?
And then
I'm like,
all of a sudden we're getting intro slide panels and flashbacks of what we just saw, and to be like, this is this character. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
okay, and then we hop to the next character.
It was low key cool. I have to stop using low key as an adjective, but it was low key because I think maybe in 2006 people were probably laughing this is dumb, but I'm like, I think they were on just I think that was their goal with this movie. Is we want to make this a cheesy movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. Sometimes I think they needed to take it a little bit more seriously, but that beginning scene sets the tone, being like, any expectations of what you thought like this was gonna be, like in that first minute of that dialogue, they're like, fuck that shit. These people are badass and they can defy gravity. And I do appreciate that, like, all these characters defy gravity and like they actually are arcadey. You know what I mean?
Little bit, yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
And like even like the latest Mortal Kombat movie, they try to make it realistic. You know what I mean? Like that they're grounded and like, yeah, they have some of them magic and shit, but like they're not
People
jumping.
get juggled in the air and like none of that. Like a fighting game that has like real physics isn't going to be fun.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in the movies they always ground it though, instead of like appreciating that what you just said. And I feel like this early on is like the start of the, hey, fighting games are kind of ridiculous, so this movie is going to be ridiculous too.
Yeah, the director of this is named Corey Yun. He has directed he's directed a sizable amount of movies, but none of them are like really like stand out that I noticed. He did direct The Transporter, starring Jason Statham.
There you go.
But DOA Dead or Alive is his last directorial effort. He has acted in movies up until 2016. And then one of the 5 producers of this movie is Paul W.S. Anderson.
Bro, when I saw that at the end of the credits, because I didn't know until I went to the credits, and I'm like, this motherfucker's at it again. He won't stop touching these video game movies, for better or for worse. But at least
it didn't look like he had much of an impact. Maybe just how I kind of imagined it is like, they say, hey, you've done some of these movies. Can you just like kind of look at the project? It's like, yeah, okay. Wait, you're actually following what the game... You have the characters named after the game characters? You guys are fucking up. You gotta put my wife in this movie.
Yeah, put my wife in this movie.
Yeah, and then we get introduced to Tina, the pro wrestler, who's trying to be a real deal and show us that wrestling ain't fake. Or that she's not fake, because wrestling is. This was definitely around the time where, like, people realized wrestling is fake. And therefore didn't think it was cool anymore. Whatever. But she has a yacht. It's really small. It's more of just a boat.
It's a big boat.
Not a yacht, yeah. And then she gets attacked by pirates. And then she kicks them all off the boat. And then we get our cool flash. The same thing happens. And
I love this whole thing.
But it's better. It's not like bad. I was expecting it to be very... Oh my god. But it's not bad.
No, I think Tina is the best character in this movie. And I feel like they especially from this very first scene, is that you just kind of like,
Dad.
Well, I just think it's hard not to love her. Like, yeah, she's like the classic Southern American girl, but she like kicks ass. And like these guys are like, yeah, we're totally gonna rob this boat, and then she just literally like easily pushes them all in the water, and it's shown that like her chauffeur basically wasn't going to do anything, and then like she can handle herself and whatnot. So I feel like they made her kind of like, they did make her badass in this movie.
She is top billed apparently for this movie. She was in a bunch of, I think, like she
was in a bunch of rom-coms and stuff in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and also like NCIS type of shows, like as guest characters. Not that show specifically, but like that type of like primetime or daytime TV kind of stuff. Guest character on this or that, like hopped around a bunch from what I quickly look over.
But yeah, I from this moment, from the very first moment, like I was like I'm cheering for Tina. And then there's a lot of other moments that happen where I'm just like, she's kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah, I mean they could have gotten just really like embarrassing. Honestly, this movie could have been embarrassing. The fact that it isn't.
There's some embarrassing like choices at some things.
But overall, like, this ain't embarrassing as much as it easily could have been.
Yeah.
This, like we were expecting. So then we get introduced to Christy. She's like a spy thief type of person in a hotel. And she's been set up by Max. And then she like just beats up the police. And like the scene you said where she's in the or in the elevator with just like a robe on and her underwear or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. And she gets the coat and leaves. And then on her way out, she's driving on her motorcycle. She must have left the keys in the motorcycle because she didn't have any pockets to store keys in. Just on like another one of those digital shuriken things hits the windshield.
Where are they coming from? Who's throwing them? I have so many questions.
Kasumi was flying in the sky. Where did that come from?
And it's assuming that everyone's watching at all times.
So weird. But it's the invitation to Dead or Alive, the fighting tournament.
This is Christy, right?
Yeah.
See, like, talking about embarrassing, I feel like out of everyone's intro, hers was, I think, the most, like...
Yeah.
Because it was very, like, guys, she's, like, almost naked. Oh, my God.
The cops are going to watch really intently, and the camera will, too.
And then she throws the bra up in there, and, like, it goes, like, over her arms.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay.
Do me up, or I'll shoot you in the dick, essentially.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know. I just feel like that was a little pushing it, I think.
But they were still...
But 2006,
at
baby.
the very least, continuing, like, the crazy camera angles and just, like, high-cutting nonsense. You know what I mean? So it kept up the vibe. We hop now... I think we're just on the plane.
Yeah. On, like, everyone's on the plane, supposedly. Everyone who's invited to this thing is on the plane. That's what they mentioned.
Tina's on the plane's bar drinking with her dad, who's also invited, and she's not happy about it. She's like, Dan, why are you here?
Dad, why are you here?
Yeah.
I love the dad too. I just loved their whole thing. Like, it's just goofy.
I feel like the dad is definitely based off maybe Ric Flair or something. WWE or WWF wrestler. I don't know when he retired or if anything like that. Christy meets or just bumps into Max, who is her other in whatever sexy spy, thieving type of thing. Although we find out this dude can't do shit, so how do you get invited? I don't know. They just needed to put him there. He's not a character in the games. That wiki says he's just in the movie. So They just needed to have Christy have an other. So is Weatherby. He's also not, obviously. But Victor Donovan is. But yes, they're all on the plane. We get
she literally like sexually assaults him too. Literally grabs his dick. You can't do that. You can't just do that. All right.
It depends. What do you look like? We get a nice 9:10 aspect ratio video of Helena, who, by the way, I just want to throw this out there, maybe not necessarily as a negative either. Whoever the actress is, very happy to be in this movie. I mean, you can just tell she's very happy to be in this movie the whole damn time.
Playing her part.
Exactly. She's giving them the lowdown. She says, I have a gift for you. It's parachutes. You need to jump out of the plane. Now, let me tell you this, Devin. Mm-hmm. Let's say you are, regardless of if you're you yourself or maybe you're a different person of a different culture, and you're a master of like Taekwondo or some shit, and you've been going through all the local tournaments, you're considered pretty high up there in your country's like overall regional.
Bro,
types
I could
of
be
things.
Michael Phelps. And...
Right, you're an expert, and then they say, okay, you're invited to a giant tournament. Now, granted, it's called Dead or Alive. Nowhere in here are the rules like you need to kill the other person. It's a poorly named tournament.
Yeah,
even in the games, it's still called the Dead or Alive tournament.
Makes sense.
It's more like that, right? Although Mortal Kombat is a better name for that idea. In any case, you're just invited to a tournament for fighting. You might win. You might win $10 million and get recognized. There are no negatives. It's just you're invited. To get on there, you need to jump out of this plane. No.
Yeah. Well, that's
I answered for you. No.
I had a note in my phone where it was just, I wrote, like, how is this the test of their fighting abilities?
Like fear? Like, buddy, we can be boxing as different than jumping out of a plane.
And it wasn't like they went with someone, like actual skydivers and, people who do that for a living. Like, they're like, nope. we'll see you down there. Oh, and if you don't get to the top of the tower
You're
by
disqualified.
sundown, it's like, yeah, it had nothing to do with testing their fighting skills. It was just like survival skills, I guess. But like, I don't know. Yeah, it was a weird thing. Like I said, I could be Michael
very
Phelps,
unfair,
the best swimmer in the world.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go to Beijing by jumping out of a plane? I mean, like
Aim for the Buddha
to test that I'm the best of my
also,
craft.
Helena didn't have to do that, and she's
She was already
a contestant. Whatever. Aim for the Buddha, and our 3 currently main heroines land nowhere near it, and then all of a sudden, in 3 quick jump cuts, they're at the base of the Buddha. They land and then they just jump. It's like they sped up them walking, and they're right there. I'm like, what?
And
I feel like you cut a lot, but
and also
they're there.
Also, like, they don't know each other at all, and they're like, "Yep." They quickly are like, "We're gonna work together." It's like, okay,
we don't want to, but we need to, and they do, and it's pretty nonsense. I feel like there is other ways up there. Like, how do you climb that structure?
You gotta jump.
Like, what is it? Because it kind of looks like it's just a whole bunch of parallel balconies that go into
tower. That's what it is. Each floor is a fighter.
Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, whoever built
purpose does it serve?
I guess I'm proud of how they built it. I guess respect it because there's no stairs.
Right. Like, unless each of those enter the rock face, and there's like, you enter from the inside, but then you walk inside. I don't know, whatever. But they get up there, sure, and they mainly needed to show us that because that's where the finale would take place in. They fight there, the finale. But they're there, they're doing their thing. Everyone needs to get nano machined up
so that they can be
monitored.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Which they totally are like, wait, what? Later on? Like,
right.
You never
they don't tell them that too, but it's standard procedure. Whatever.
I thought it was steroids, to be honest, at first, that they're like trying to jack everyone up before the fight.
But then, yeah, you got that. They introduced a new character, Weatherby. I don't know what his first name was.
He kept saying scientist. It was Weatherby, so like I'm assuming that's.
That's his first name.
Yeah, he's like, because everyone kept calling him something else, and he was like, "It's Weatherby."
That's a really bad first name. Yeah, and he's like kind of staring at Helena a bit, but then Victor Donovan comes in or whatever, and he's talking. He says, "Bring up Tina. I want to see." He
reminds me of he gives me like Hugh Hefner vibes. I feel like that's like the push they were trying to go for. Is that like he's?
Oh, I can see that.
You know what I mean? Where like
I can see that.
Just the way like he was, like the way he was dressed and stuff. Like it just got me like
I can
this.
See
like,
that. Yeah,
I have this money. Like I'm a sex symbol kind of vibe to him. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but like that's what I just kept thinking of.
I can see that. Yeah. He was in The Dark Knight. He was one of the mob leaders in The Dark Knight. Because I looked him up too. Excuse me. I'm watching this movie. I'm like, all right, who are these actors? And like him specifically, I'm like, I'm sure I've seen him from somewhere. I don't know if it was necessarily The Dark Knight and I just knew that, or if he looked like he was familiar and that was a coincidence. But yeah. Also, there's a scene, I don't know if it was this or right before, where he's talking to Helena, and he's like, you're finally able to enter the tournament, and this is something your dad would have been so proud of. And you started this, and we started together, and then I took over. In my head, I'm like, oh, he killed him. I'm like, this is just how this goes. He killed him. And like, yeah, it was just as simple as that. He killed them. Whatever. But yeah, and then she does her thing, and then Weatherby's staring, and they're using old early 2000s Macintosh keyboards that aren't plugged in. I want to say,
I think Weatherby's character is my theory with Weatherby's character. My theory is that Weatherby is the embodiment of the 2006 World of Warcraft player, or whoever plays these games.
Really? And standing for the audience is what you're saying.
Yeah, standing in for the horny gamers or like tech folk. Because I feel like in this era, like when people think of like gamers, they think of people who are on the PC all day. They know how to hack and like that kind of shit. Like they're smart, but like they're just the stereotypical.
They're so socially awkward, but at the same time, he's not necessarily ugly because they don't want to offend that audience either.
I think at first they kind of make him seem that way, but like as the movie goes on, they kind of make him like he kind of gets a glow up. Like his hair looks a little bit nicer, you know what I mean? But I'll just say this overall too. Everyone in this movie is generally attractive, but the 2006 era of like makeup and hairstyle is so fucking bad that it makes everyone look awful. Yeah. To no fault of their own. It was then that was hot.
It's a different time.
But I'm just like like the eyeshadow and stuff. I'm just like, damn. I remember like girls in middle school used to like do that shit, and like even my older people I knew would like try to like have haircuts like that. Like one of them literally has like the classic like Karen haircut that you see in the memes and shit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's that era, dude. But he has that like early 20s like look to him, but like they also make him purposely like this. I this my hunch is that they're like, we need a character that like the audience can relate to, like the diehard can relate to, because he also gets, like I said earlier, the other guy gets no hero moments, and I keep feeling like they want him, they keep hinting at he's finally gonna get his hero moment, his chance of redeeming himself, and he never does. But this guy gets like 2 hero moments for no reasons, and I feel like he doesn't deserve it outside of just like what my theory is that like, hey, being a gamer and a hacker is actually like really cool. I'm not saying it isn't cool, but you know what I mean? Like that era,
it's not cool.
That era, like of where like, oh, this guy plays World of Warcraft all day, he doesn't get any pussy, like that. Like I feel like they made this character like super cool, like at the end, because they're like, hey, one day you'll have your chance, kind of thing. Like that's the vibe I got.
I can see that. That's
my big theory. That's my observations for him specifically. But yeah, he's creepy. Purposely, they make him purposely creepy. He also has one fantastic scene though that I did not. Once again, this movie has Tarantino-esque moments where like something goes off the cusp and goes with a completely different like editing style and like whatnot.
The phrase is off the cuff.
Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
I just want, before you say it another 3 times and then someone tweets angrily.
Whatever. They can tweet me. I don't give a shit. I'll block them.
At Cursona Fun.
Yeah, Cursona Fun.
Make sure you put your NFT avatar on for your profile pic
yes,
first.
Please. What I was going to say is that like that one scene he has where he's daydreaming about Helena, it does like a quick cut and it has like this cheesy music playing and it has them like hugging and like dancing and being all like, and then it cuts directly back to him like, they never do something like that again in the entire movie. And I thought that was actually like pretty
very
dope.
Weird.
So I thought it was pretty dope. I'm like, cool. They know this is goofy. It just reminded me of Tarantino, where he just has like random like cuts to things to make a joke better. Like I remember that one scene in Glorious Bastards where like they mentioned something about sex and just a quick cut to those 2 characters having sex and it cuts right back just to enunciate that joke a little bit more. So yeah, so Weatherby is creepy, but I think obviously that's his on purpose for his character. But I also had that hunch that like they wanted him to be in it to represent the gamers. Yeah, gamers rise up.
Meanwhile, Kasumi goes up to a balcony, and then Victor Donovan comes up, and we get a flashback of when she was captured and her brother saved her, and on their way out, his invitation showed up, and that was the last tournament, and so that's why she's here. And then she's standing on the balcony that they took forever to climb. Victor Donovan's like, your brother was great, but he died. He fell off here. He fell off fighting Jack or whatever the really big beefcake white dude with the shaved, military cut hair cut was. And the whole time you're like,
I thought was like supposed to be like a Afghanistan veteran or something, because like this desert camo and shit just gave me that like impression that oh yeah, this is 2006. We need like a big like jarhead character.
Yeah. And like it kind of makes it seem as if like, okay, climax, she fights him, and did he kill him or whatever? Like it seemed like it was mainly just an accident. Who knows? And then she's like, okay, yeah, but he's still here because we don't have the body or whatever. And then I think then they just get their Apple Watches, their Fitbits or whatever those things were. They're like, they'll tell you when your next fight is. It's anytime, anywhere.
Which I think is insane because, like, you could be on the toilet, you could be in the shower, you could be, like, sleeping, and you're just going to be like,
right.
oh, and, like, what if, like, both the characters, and it always, once again, I don't care that much, but if we're going to nitpick a little bit, it seems like the other characters that aren't the main ones know before the other character does that, like, they're fighting, because at one point, like, one guy's, like, in their person's room, they're like, we're fighting, and they're like, wait, what? Like, how did they get the alert ahead of time? Because my like thought process is like, can you get the alert? Or like, I don't know what room they're in. Are we fighting in, like, in the hotel?
Yeah, we have to find them.
Yeah, but later on,
it could honestly take forever. You could spend all day trying to find.
But later on,
we
they like make jokes about it. We're like, oh, we'll go fight here because, like, why do it here?
Yeah.
But there's other moments where, like, people are having sex or whatever, and, like, they just come crashing through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. Like,
yeah. Yeah, there wasn't too much of, like, now if this was a modern take on this movie, the way this movie is done, but it was done, like, now instead, I could see the battle royale angle of it, of, like, you know, trying to sneak around, get the jump on them. No one really gets the jump too much. It's more of just like, and I'm here, pose up type of thing.
Yeah.
No one's like falling out of the ceiling and just on their way down grabbing the head and smashing it. You know, and there's no surprise attacks. Maybe that's not fair in terms of the rules. I don't know. But yeah, so we get a quick montage of, you know, people fighting, and all of our main characters win.
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
For the most part. I think there's a couple moments where, like, they make them, you know, get beat up a little bit, but, like, they always seem that they're in control of the situation.
Yeah. And then, yeah, just a bunch of that stuff happens. I'm trying to remember.
There was that one fight between
exactly.
Tina and her dad, and they agree to, like, make it easier, and they just say, whoever can get pushed into the water.
Oh, right.
And that's where, like, where my line is, where the dad bites her. Like,
well, that we don't get there quite yet. But before Tina and her dad fight, we do have that scene where she does, or maybe it's Christy, wins her fight in this preliminary opening round or whatever, and destroys her bedroom. So she sleeps with Tina. And that's when the dad comes in.
Which they kind of, like, don't really establish. Like, you have to kind of, like, make that connection. It doesn't, like, she doesn't really ask, does she? Because I don't remember her asking, like, hey, can I stay at your place? All of a sudden, they're just there.
I think it was a jump cut to maybe imply, like, begrudgingly okay, and then it cuts there kind of a thing, I think. But then, yeah, the dad walks in, and it's a cute kind of scene. It's like, Dad, I'm in my underwear. It's like, oh, we'll fight tomorrow, then. And then they fight on a raft, and then this is where we get actually somewhat of an actual connection to the games, because Tina's like, my raft, my rules, first person to fall off loses. And that's a ring out, you know what I mean? So they actually have that here, although they, like, break that rule in another fight later, even though it maybe not really set up, but in any case,
and we never see the
and they
again.
fight. I don't. Maybe in a montage somewhere.
No, we don't.
But yeah,
I remember as soon as he went out, I'm like, he's gone. He got his paycheck. He's not coming. He's not coming back. And then, like, he never did.
I mean, the budget on this movie was $30 million.
Bro got that $100K, and he's like, I'm set for the year.
Hey, I'll take it.
Exactly.
I'll take it. Yeah, and so she wins. And Dad, you bit me on the leg or whatever. You can't bite. No biting. And, you know, she's got that, like, I'm trying to be serious, and he's just trying to push his kid, you know what I mean? Push him to be a little bit better. But she wins, and then, what's her name? Kasumi does fight the guy that killed her brother, and he, like, doesn't talk, I don't think.
He just kind of
she kind of wins
up
very easily. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, okay. Well, there's more to this movie now, because I thought that was going to be the finals. You know what I mean? She's got to avenge her brother.
She, like, says something to the effect of, like, oh, he didn't kill my brother. There's no way. Because he lost.
I would, yeah. And then it's just party time. We just get a bunch of parties. This is where you get our beach volleyball. Helena also is fighting and doing stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But here it's Helena and Christy versus Kasumi and Tina fighting on doing the volleyball. Meanwhile, Hayabusa is sneaking in. He says, "Can you keep him distracted while I sneak in?" It's like, yeah, the entire complex is going to watch this beach volleyball game because it's so hot.
I don't know who planned this because like everyone just showed up. And by the way, there's like tourists here. I thought this island was like a remote island where no one can be, but like it seems like there's just like average folk just on this beach too, just enjoying it. So I'm like, do they know that this event's happening? Do they know any of these people? Like, whatever. I don't care. It's like this plot is silly. I don't take this movie seriously, but I was just like, huh. So I guess this is just a public beach that they're just doing this on.
Yeah,
because at party they have like random people dancing, not fighters. I don't think.
Yeah, there wasn't that many fighters, and at this point, there's like maybe 8 left.
It's like 10, yeah, something like that.
Well, yeah, 4 times 2 would be 8. But yeah, like, so yeah, definitely. Maybe it's just people that worked there. I don't know. What do they do in the off season?
I have no idea. Make sure it looks.
Obviously,
secret.
they make weapons or something, I guess. But
make swords.
Yeah, so it's tied up 4-4. But then Ayana's the purple-haired chicks. She pops the volleyball, which gets Kasumi to leave and chase her down. And then they fight in the
You never know who won.
forest.
I literally bet like when it was started. I'm like, okay, bet Tina's gonna win.
Oh, the volleyball?
Yeah, and they didn't. We never could find out who's better at volleyball
Because
because they had an early lead, but then they were coming back.
Yep. I'm just looking at this poster.
But like the action with what's his name? Him like defeating those other like guys. He kills that one guy, by the way. He snaps that guy's neck.
He's murking people for sure. And that's the only cool stuff he actually gets to do. And then he's just
captured.
A door lats in front of him, and then he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
that's it. But Kasumi fights Ayana, just basically schools Ayana. So here's my thing. For the most part, all of the physically fighting actors in this movie seem to have gone through a good enough, rigorous like martial arts training, like prep up for the movie before learning their choreography. But I don't think that was the case for Sword Girl here in the purple hair. I don't think they really taught her too much because it look.
There was
good.
One part where like she's holding the bamboo stick and she's holding the sword, and it looks like they're just like setting it in front. I'm like, add some struggle to your hands, make it look like you're both pushing on it. It looks like they're just like, hey, how's it going? Like it's like
we're posing for a picture type of thing, and not actually, Yeah, no, I mean she's holding it so weird. Everything about it just seems.
And then like she like flies away at the end, but like it cuts like as she's like escaping.
She's a ninja,
but she like it just shows like her like getting launched into like the sky, and then it just cuts, and it's like anyways.
But she's jealous or whatever because she was in love with her brother, or whatever.
That's
like
Hugh
the tiny
Hefner
little
know,
subplot
that she's here. I don't even remember.
Probably not. She wasn't invited.
But they're tracking everybody with the clearly somehow.
I don't know. She showed up anyway. And then we now get Tina has to fight Zach, and they were gonna fight on the beach, but she ruined the party. So then they fight in what very much looks like, and now I don't know if this was in Dead or Alive necessarily, but in Virtua Fighter, the arenas are very much like here is a 12x12 square.
Yeah.
Here is a 8x8 octagon. Like they're really much like here is
I
a
feel like
shape.
I've seen it in Soul Calibur too
walls.
at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, okay, here is your octagon arena. But then Zach rings her out, but it doesn't count. And she climbs back in anyway. Because I guess that rule isn't there. But then she kicks his ass. There was a very comical like cameras up looking down when she like kind of uppercut kicks him or something. He kind of
that's what I'm saying. Like the fighting, they actually
very goofy.
I think they committed to the arcadiness where they did make him like that. They are jumping an extra like 4 feet. Some of the kicks are kind of ridiculous. and they're
They're
getting
being juggled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I appreciate it. I really do. I think they put in effort for that.
Yeah, and it makes the movie stand out. This is not a bad movie in that sense. Like, it could have been and just like very forgettable, but it's not. She wins, and then all of a sudden he stops getting rapey. Oh yeah, there was a scene where he basically just wouldn't take no for an answer. There's a couple scenes where he wouldn't take no for an answer until she, was a little bit smarter about it. But yeah, this is where he finally respects Tina.
He says like, I'm cheering for you to win it all, or something like that to that effect.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And cool. So then, by the way, speaking about cheering and like the money, Max and Christy have been doing like trying to find out where all the money is hidden here and yada yada. And when it gets to a point where Max is no longer in control of the dynamic they have in terms of who has more information or whatever, he's like, all right, let's make a deal. As if he was in control and now he has to settle something lesser than what he wanted. And his deal is they split the money in half. Like, wasn't that assumed? What do you mean? You were going to split the money in half.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whatever. Like, what was it before? Did he have like 80-20 on you? And now you managed to work up to 50.
You only get $1 million.
But she's like, but I get the prize for winning the tournament. Which I'm like, also fair, because that's effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wins a round by just being opportunistic. He like kicks a bottle and hits someone in the nuts or something stupid. And that's how he wins.
He throws, he like kicks something and it hits them in the head, and then because it's what they said in the beginning, it's like you got to get knocked out, like physically knocked out to lose. So you have to like knock them unconscious. So like the guy just walks in, he kicks it, and he wins.
Yeah.
And then the Weatherby was like disappointed because like that guy was supposed to like come in and give him a fair fight or whatever.
Yeah, like there was very much a, hey, this guy doesn't belong here. Like he didn't do anything. Like he's not a fighter. Weird. And yeah, now we're getting to the end.
Well, we had a Helena and Christy fight in like the rain. And there was like, and this is what some of the issues I do have with the movie and being a little bit too much is that some of the camera angles are like right in this scene in particular, like it just. Here's her ass, and here's her...
when they're doing the classic cowboy or samurai, like they're about to show off, they're standing each other down, the camera pans from behind each of them, but it's low and just covering cheeks.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like, oh, here you can see between her legs and see her, like, oh.
Yep,
like,
yep. Oh,
like,
she got thigh gap, yeah. I will say, when I was making all of the... when I was making the album art for our movies episodes that you guys can see, when you downloaded this episode or streamed it or whatever, I have pictures of all of the main movies that we want to hit before like we get to episode 150 or something like that, hopefully. And I had to pick one for this, and I struggled to find one that wasn't like embarrassing, and I kept finding like tons of shots, screen grabs from this scene from when they're just standing in the rain. And I'm like, A, this is going to be a bitch to Photoshop because there's rain. And B, like, this looks embarrassing. Like them standing in the rain and it's just like guys whole, think like, this is hot.
Yeah, it's like the whole like, oh, girls are fighting in the mud and they're wearing white t-shirts, like kind of like thing. You know what I mean?
Which I never understood personally. I feel like that's gross. You can fight in water. It'd be hotter than mud.
But you know what I mean? It's like the whole like, oh, they're getting dirty. You know what I mean? It's like, I think it's like the whole like, it's, I think probably arguably rooted in sexism.
Sure.
But like, yeah.
Then I'll clean her up when she's done.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
But they fight, yeah. I don't really remember the fight all that much.
They like throw each other a couple times, which I guess was cool, but like it was very like grapple and like chuck. But I thought what would have been cool is one of them grabbed the other and like slid their face across the dirt or something like that, like across the sand. I think that would have been like a little bit more brutal. But yeah, they were just like tossing each other, and then one of them just stopped getting up, which was Christy, if I remember correctly.
Well, Christy won.
Or Christy won, yeah.
Helena lost. Because then after that,
she's all sad and
yeah.
And that's when I
think before
Weatherby gets his chance or whatever.
Right. Before that, he did introduce himself, and it's all just embarrassing. But then she gives him a shot. It looks like he like he got abandoned really quickly there when he went to go grab her a drink. But nope. Oh, that's cute. But then, yeah, after this fight, then he has this chance to be relatable and not talk about himself. And he sits on the stairs, and it's okay. It's not bad. And then that's when he says, oh, yeah, like, we're, like, bad people. And you didn't know that because you're a child.
Oh,
well,
and
she's
yeah,
21 now,
and now
but...
and it isn't until
and now all of a sudden we need to be killed.
Or it's more, and that's just weird. Like he knew that they're doing all these fucked up things, but it wasn't until like he gets the girl. He's like, okay, now it's time for me to like.
You could argue maybe he didn't have anyone to tell to.
Well, like he was like, I'm gonna call the feds. It's like you could have done that day one when you're like, oh, these guys are keeping people hostage, and they killed.
He also does say that his technology was being used for good when her dad was in charge, but then Donovan killed him, and you know that, and you kept working for him happily.
Yeah, until your new girlfriend was like, "Oh wow, my father's dead. That's kind of shitty." You know what?
Oh, we should stop this.
And
then Donovan's obviously watching
must
everything.
Have been good for a little while or something. I don't know.
I mean, fuck, probably was pretty damn good money. Or he was held hostage, but he didn't look like he was held hostage. It looks like he was getting paid well. But then Donovan was watching everything. So then he says, everyone go kill them. And then the women come up from the bottom and the men come up from the top, and no one has any guns. It's all swords.
I said the same. Like, this is supposed to be like a secret thing, and like, yeah, I'm like this all could have been over if the guys just had some like M4s up in there.
A gun. Just a gun.
Yeah.
You'll need one person.
Was it cool though? The sword fighting? Yeah. So like,
I definitely did look at this like, how are they going to get out? Because he can't do shit. And she's one person, and there is, 20 up and 20 down approaching. And they made it seem very plausible and cool. They definitely take him out of the equation by just pushing him into a bush. If I was one of the 40 people attacking her, I would use that as an opportunity to just be like, you gotta stop or I'll just kill him now. And then obviously do it anyway, but like, there was
it's all about the respect in the fight, all right?
Sure. There's a part where she basically does like the sword-to-sword clash with an entire row of people and pushes them all down the stairs.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah,
they gave her a scene where she's like BA because like we didn't see her fight until that fight with Christy, and like they kind of, like I said, like the fight wasn't very.
Yeah.
It just felt like, hey, The Matrix came out a couple years ago. The slow-mo and the rain shit, it's kind of dope. But what if they just like threw each other and they're hot, so like it'll be sexy, and like now they gave her a scene where like she's doing martial arts and it's about her like kicking all these people's asses. So
yeah, it wasn't bad. But then they need to rush in and stop, and then meanwhile, I think everyone just eventually gets captured. Whatever, we'll skip ahead. Our four heroines, or no, sorry, our three other heroines and Hayabusa are all in test tube chambers. They're all getting harvested. Jesus Christ, that's the phrase they use. And I'm thinking like it's like a biology thing.
I thought they were going to be like absorbed,
scanned
physically.
Yeah,
like in some form.
How crazy would that have been if like the setup and like you have your one of the four main ladies is the only person not in there, and now that's the final girl trope thing because all the other people are literally dead now.
Yeah,
that would have been interesting, but they didn't want to do that. Obviously, this is what.
Or I thought they were going to get out and they don't know how to fight anymore because like, he puts on the 3D Spy Kids 3D glasses.
Yep. And really fake looking, flimsy.
But I kind of love to see where he's just, it's like, it just keeps going, like, somehow they just keep surprising me in this movie. I'm like, oh, test tubes. Okay, he's absorbing their power, or whatever, like their knowledge or their fighting style through sunglasses with a little laser. I'm like, sure, whatever.
Got, like, this is a camera.
It just reminded me of, like, the Spy Kids movies and all that, where it's just, like, ridiculous.
But my favorite thing, though, about this is that he basically sees how the fight would play out through his glasses from a third person perspective.
Robert Downey Jr.
and then does it. Yeah. From Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, but in a much less cool way.
Yeah, they used like a weird filter that looked like from like a music video or something that was
like a low frame rate, high exposure weirdness going on.
I hate when they did that in music videos in the early 2000s. I feel like everyone was doing it. Like every genre
it's for
of music.
Effect, man.
Yeah,
it's for effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kicks Hayabusa's ass and then leaves? Oh no, all the ladies go to fight him. All the 3 other ladies go to fight him and he just leaves. Meanwhile, Weatherby's trying to shut...
He doesn't do it, though. Like, it was going to blow up.
Right. Before that, Donovan starts to go sell the program to some buyers in other parts of the world through his cell phone as it's uploading as he's holding it open and up in the air. And we stop the thing from happening, and he's like, oh, and he breaks the phone or something like that. Then he puts on the self-destruct, has his beret henchman person take all the money. Max just happens to have been unlocking the code and all that. Gets put in the safe, knocked out.
I don't know why he'd think he'd be able to steal all that money. There was a lot of bills there. Like,
yeah, he didn't even have a duffel bag with him.
The other guy did.
Right, he was just a person.
It's like how much bills do you think you could fit in your pockets? Honestly, like if
they were hundreds, I could definitely fit a few $1,000s, but not millions.
Yeah, because I was trying to think, like, could he put someone in a suit? Like, some suits have pockets. I was trying to think, like, how much could he stuff to where he's like a cartoon character walking around like an overstuffed jacket?
Like Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building's going to blow up, and it's not clear if the building or the island is going to blow up in 3 minutes. Very much not clear. In fact, even until the final second, I'm not quite sure. Because I'm like, there are other people here. There was a party.
But they made it seem like, oh, it's safe outside. So, like, that's the only, like, hint at, like, okay, this is going to be the base. But, like, how big is the explosion?
Yeah. And cool, and we fight outside, and we're fighting Donovan, and then Ayana and, the brother's alive, and he saves Ayana, and she's like, oh, whoa, I love you, or whatever. There's a lot of ladder action with standing on ladders and fighting, and everyone's fighting.
He's doing a split at one point, which is kind of cool, and then he does with the chains, he, like, pulls them together or whatever.
Does like that. I pantomimed it to Devin. It doesn't matter. It's just, and it's not bad. It's not super cool either. It's very interesting though. It's not, it is what it is.
It's unique.
Meanwhile, the boys are inside and Max wants to take the money, but they can't. They need to go down the chute. We can't save it. No one knows that anyone else is safe, but they all just bail anyway.
I think at a certain point, I laughed. If it's within 10 seconds, I'm sorry. If you're all coming with me, I'm going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But my favorite thing, though, is that we jump back a bit, and it's definitely going to explode. Everyone knows it's going to explode. And Helena knows Weatherby is knocked out. Leaves him anyway. And then later is like, Weatherby. I'm like, yeah, bitch. You left your new boyfriend to die. He's got bits of keyboard stuck in his forehead. But then, we're fighting. And then, like, a thing that was earlier in the movie with the little acupuncture needles, Kasumi does it right on I keep wanting to call him Devin. His name is Donovan.
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner does it right on him, and he's frozen, and the explosion overcomes him, but his glasses foolishly had fallen off the ledge. So they weren't strapped to his fucking face. Major design flaw.
Could have just had
You
goggles.
Gotta make them sports goggles.
Yeah, something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Swim goggles.
Contacts.
Where would the camera go? The third eye, because they had the Buddha statues.
Yeah.
Your skin literally splits open.
I did find it interesting they showed like his skin peeling off. Like usually like in those these kind of movies they just show the explosion, like it's implied they're dead, but like nope, his face is peeling off here. Just to be sure, he's dead.
Yeah. The helicopter just literally flew straight over the building. In my place, real life. But yeah, no, he's dead, and everyone just jumps off in unison, and it's kind of cool. They get an aerial shot of that, and then that's it. Oh, but not, because then they get saved by the pirates, aka they just throw the pirates out of the boat.
Poor pirates.
Poor pirates indeed.
So I have an alternate ending idea that I think could have been.
And then it ends, right? Oh no, they go to the fucking. They go to just go back to Kasumi's place. Why does she want to go back? They wanted to kill her for leaving.
I don't remember, but my alternate ending idea I had was that. So after the explosion happens, everyone actually dies. And since the feds were called, I want the ending to be the feds getting there by like boat or whatever. And they're like, something crazy happened here.
Yeah, they're sorting through just burned up bras and
swords,
volleyball and sword. Yeah, they're like no guns anywhere.
There's Hugh Hefner's like swords. Weird braid that he had, just like
yeah.
And they're like, what happened here? Only God only knows, or something. Like I just want like a throwaway like cheesy line like that would have been like peak. Like not saying I didn't like the ending, but like that was my like. They should have an alternate ending where it's like they all just die and no one knows about this wacky story and plot.
That would have been great. I wish this movie made its money back because it would have been great to get a sequel. Just imagining what that would have been.
You know what might even be better than a sequel? I want a remake, but everything has to stay the same. We just have new actors. And like we just
okay.
You know what I mean? Like I want the same dialogue, same action. We get bigger budget for the CGI and stuff. And I just want, like, another attempt at this. We bring the director back. We say you get infinite budget. You can hire whoever you want. But you need to remake this movie scene for scene.
Like, shot for shot.
Shot for shot.
Yeah.
How amazing would it be?
Basically just get the same guy back to direct and just say, you need to do exactly the same thing. But, like, obviously a little bit better. But, like, the scene is supposed to be
Maybe not shot for shot, but just like, I want the
again.
general plot to be the same.
Yeah.
I want their introductions to be generally the same. I want the characters to be cheesy and have their one-liners. Because that's the thing with this movie, is that there's a lot of really funny, cheesy moments that I really appreciate, and I feel like this whole movie doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's kind of a sigh of relief for me, because I thought this movie was going to take itself seriously and also try to be super pervy and shit like that. And I was saying it didn't have moments where it wasn't pervy, but at least like it didn't take itself too seriously that I didn't have to feel embarrassed watching it. Because we've watched some video game movies where they take themselves really seriously and it's just bad. Like
it fails. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is a perfect example where we're like, there's a message at the end of this, and it's like,
what is it?
Free will, good.
Yes.
Thinking,
good. Or even Blood Rain that was like vampire politics. Nah.
Oh, we're gonna kind of make this sexy. Nah.
Yeah.
Meatloaf's the best actor? Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Jesus Christ. Meatloaf is a better actor than Ben Kingsley or Michael Madsen. Jesus, at least this movie doesn't have any of those issues on that level. It's just not a great movie, but it knows it's not a great movie. At least it feels like it knows it's not a great movie.
It feels
like,
because we've seen movies like Kung Pao and all that from the early 2000s, late 90s, where like they make fun of martial arts to a certain extent. They know it's not, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. Like the plot might sound serious, but like all the characters are kind of like know that they'll all be okay at the end.
Like almost, and there's also racist caricatures of people as well. I expected this movie to be bottom 5, and well, I have to put the list together in my head. I'm pretty sure this would be top 5.
Yeah, top 5. I mean, like to me, like this
in terms of like rewatchability and just like fuck it, this is fun.
Yeah, you said you could put it on while you're cleaning. I honestly think that you can smoke a bowl with your friends and watch this and have just like a good time. You know what I mean? And just laugh. It
stands up much better than I thought.
Yeah. This movie is peak mid-2000s, and I think that added to it with, like I said, the hairstyles, the makeup, the clothing, all that. Like, it's a mix of peak mid-2000s and just trying so hard to be goofy video gamey at the same time. It's just a recipe that I think needs to be revisited. And that's why I would either want this movie to be remade or someone to try and attempt like this again that isn't always like, we got to make a video game movie, but we're just going to take like the loose lore and just make it super grounded. You know what I mean? Like the latest Resident Evil movie, like at moments I feel like was getting there, but wasn't the same level as this, where it's like, no, people are getting juggled because that's how it worked in the video game.
Yeah. No, this is definitely a movie that is just does not care about being cool, but it definitely wants to be, but it doesn't care at the same time either, and it ends up being net positive in the end. This is one of many video game movies that we're going to be talking about over the decades of this podcast's existence. I don't think they'll ever make another Dead or Alive movie.
Maybe like a TV show at
who
most,
or just an anime,
something like that.
But I mean, let's be real. If they do that, it's going to end up being just the thing we know about Dead or Alive, the infamous part, being what would be the focus, I'm sure. Yes, I enjoyed this movie, surprisingly. You seem to have enjoyed this movie.
Out of all the last couple we've seen, thank God we got something like this. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, like, we had Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City.
That was cool.
Which is a new movie.
That was cool.
It was cool. We had Advent Children, which I have an obvious soft spot for, but it's not a great movie by any stretch. We had Silent Hill Revelation, which was such a letdown. Blood Rain, which was shockingly bad.
Like,
and that was
one of the worst movies
we
ever seen. Like,
yeah,
like
those were the ones from the set. Everything past 100 are those movies. But we also ended our last set on Street Fighter, and that was like awesome.
And that's another example of like, I feel like they hit on that like
so campy,
like, and it also has that 90s time period. It's a timepiece.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Instead of making a fighting game movie, they just made G.I. Joe.
So I'm saying, if you make
that was one way to go about it.
Honestly, when I think about it now, this is kind of the extension of Street Fighter in the sense that like, you can't, like, as much as we say we want a remake of this, I don't know how much it would be good because it has that 2000s effect to it that it's hard to replicate. And then Street Fighter has that early 90s, late 80s effect to it that like, if you try to replicate, people would be like, this is shit. But since it's like, it's a timepiece, it's from that time period.
It takes itself seriously, ends up being so campy. I don't know if anyone was coked out of their mind in this movie, like Jean-Claude Van Damme was apparently in Street Fighter. My favorite bit of knowledge about that movie is I want to watch that movie again now. See, I haven't opened it out of the thing.
Me neither.
Devin just held up the steelbook that just came out. We bought it. We pre-ordered it.
Yeah, we pre-ordered it. I remember I totally forgot about it until it showed up in my mailbox. I'm like, oh, fucking yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sick box art.
It is. It really is. I want to rewatch that movie now that I know that he was on cocaine and just see if I can tell.
Do cocaine while watching it and see if maybe his acting is better when you're on cocaine with him.
Probably. Just like how I feel like you can tell Michael Madsen was drunk on the set of Blood Rain. I want to know. But yeah, this movie it was a surprise and a delight, net positive overall. It's going to go down in terms of the benchmark. One of the benchmarks we will use is this a Blood Rain?
Some people see things as 4 pillars, whatever it may be, a staple. They use that phrase. This is a Sonic movie show pillar or a staple, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just like Street Fighter is, it's part of that, like, this is a time period
this
piece.
Certainly isn't bad.
Yeah.
And this is goofy, dumb fun.
It's a time period piece. I don't know if you can replicate this. It's a certain recipe that I feel like is once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah. Looking at our upcoming movies, I don't really want to spoil much of them, although you can probably tell from looking at our album art what ones we are going to do at some point, though there are others that pop in that aren't on there. There is one fighting game movie coming up within the next like 5 or so that we're going to do that I think is going to be like this, but just bad.
Which one is that?
And I'm so excited for that. We'll leave that as a surprise for people when that happens. But yeah, we have a few more before we get to that one. Fighting game movies, there's a lot of them, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it's surprising. I wonder why they choose that when I feel like that'd be harder to work with than a,
here's just one character that's famous. Instead, you have a cast. But yeah, tell us what you think about DOA, Dead or Alive, the movie. DOA. Oh my god, I forgot. I searched just Amazon Prime Video and I searched DOA and space, and all of these suggested things were people misspelling like Dora the Explorer, and all these things where they're like doary of a wimpy kid. I'm like, so many people spelled these wrong that they're like suggested search terms for DOA.
Oh no, that's funny.
I love it. Let us know what you think about this movie by tweeting at us on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. I am on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely, and Devin, don't harass him, but let him know what you think about the movie at Cursona Fun.
Yeah,
we also have a TikTok. Yeah, don't harass him. I mean, if you do, you will get blocked. So if that's your goal, I guess
go ahead.
You win. You can harass me though by sending me money. My Cash App now. But we have a TikTok. We have a TikTok at Sonic Movie Show where we put up our clips, I believe.
I've been kind of slacking on it, not gonna lie, but soon
don't follow us. Just fuck it.
No, follow. It's a work in progress. It's like
just, you know what? It's a set it and forget it. Just follow, and then when the cool stuff happens, you will be pleasantly surprised, like we were with this movie. Yes, we'll be back next week for another episode of the Sonic Movie Show. See you next time.
I was gonna say a line from the movie. I think I said all of them. So.